Hi, this is Sue at Hometown to Homestead Gal Gardener. Today I am working on a fingerless glove pattern off the top of my head. There's no written pattern for it. And this one is way too big for my little bitty hand, but it'll be a good size for a guy. It's a fun way to use up a bunch of scrap yarn. And so let me point the camera down and we will get started on how to make this bad boy here. And so, okay, let's not get everybody dizzy. So I am using a 3.5 millimeter hook, pair of scissors, my base color for the ribbing. This is a basic ribbing pattern that I use for all kinds of different projects, from hat bands to the bottom of a sweater to headbands, all sorts of things. And let me turn you around this way just a little bit more. And we're going to start out by making a slip knot. And we're going to chain 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay, basic chain. I'm gonna actually put this yellow notebook underneath here. Maybe you can see the work better instead of the black table. What we're going to do is we're going to single crochet in the second chain from the hook. There's the first one, this is the second one. We'll go in slowly so you can see where. That's one single crochet, and then we're going to single crochet back all the way across the row. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, oops, hitchhiker, 11, 12, and it's curling up on me. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 more single crochets for a total of 19 single crochets. I'm just using worsted weight yarn like a Red Heart Super Saver. That's what most of these yarns are. There's a few other little doodads here and there, like this one, this variegated, or it's almost a denim-y looking blue that's in here. That's also a worsted weight, but it just has a bit of pattern to it. This little pink looks a little bit thinner than a worsted weight. This blue and brown is actually two very thin strands of yarn that are held together, as well as this and this one. The yellow is a little bit fuzzy. So you can mix and match all different kinds of yarn in there as you like. This one has a little bit of a shimmer sheen on this dark green. Just use what you have. And the way I've done this is I did the row and then set the color aside, so I'm going to try and match them. You can do them just willy-nilly, whatever way. You could do these all one color. You could make the whole thing one color. You can do whatever you want in a combination. I just did this to try and use up some, random little odds and ends bits. But to continue with the ribbing, we're at the end of that row, we're going to chain 1, turn our work, and in that first chain, we're going to single crochet on the back loop only. And that's going to be going in these little arches on the back side of the top of the stitch. That's the back loop. And I'll go slow so that you can see. And insert the hook, pull through, and these are all single crochets on the wristband, always on the back. The more rows I put in, the less that twist will be in there. It's a pretty tight, I'm using a small hook so that it's a pretty tight stitch and make for a little bit warmer product. You could use wool yarns if you were making these for someone where it's really cold. You can make them longer. You can even make them longer and close up the end for somebody that wanted a mitt instead of a fingerless glove. And then you would have to put a little tube over and do the same thing for where the thumb goes. But I'm concentrating on the fingerless glove action today here. I'm using up some odds and ends, bits and pieces, here's and there's. I don't know if you can see, doing it on the back loop, you'll start seeing a ridge along here for the loop that you did not go through. You don't go through underneath that loop, you go to the back loop only. And we're going to continue that along. And excuse me, nothing like coughing in the middle of your video. And oops, I got part of the yarn there. Now I'm back to the end of that row. So then we again would chain 1 and single crochet on back loops only all the way across. And you're going to do that for a total of, I wrote it down, 42 rows. And when we get a little closer to the 42 rows, I'm going to come back and I'll show you some more helpful hints. But I think you can do the 42 rows. You don't need to sit here and watch me do all of the 42 rows. And we'll come back when we get towards the end. Okay, so now we've made the 42 rows, and the way you can count the rows is each one of these ridges would be 2 rows. 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 22, 4, 6, 8, 32, 4, 6, 8, 42. Okay, so we have our 42 rows, and that's with the tail, the starting tail on this end. You can see that's the start, so you know you're going to get an even number. We're going to take the foundation chain side edge and the edge of the last row and bring them together. Get the working yarn out of the way. I'm going to insert my hook through that first stitch and through the first stitch on the foundation chain. And I'm going to slip stitch through all of those 3 loops on the hook. Insert into the back loops of the last row and through the next one on the foundation chain. Yarn over and pull through 1, 2, 3. All 3 loops over the hook. Insert into the next back loop and through the foundation chain and through all 3. I'm going to do that all the way across to the other side. And this is going to form the cuff of the fingerless glove. Now you can adjust the size of your cuff down to fewer rows if you need a cuff that's not as big of circumference. You can make it shorter, you can make it longer, just by adjusting how many stitches you start with on your chain. Many times for a headband, I use approximately 7 or 8 chains to start with and go back and forth, making the ribbed fabric, and measure it around the size of the head that I want to put it on, mine or someone else's, I know. Almost to the end here. Just a couple more stitches. You hear my ice maker clunking in the background. And the last stitch. Okay. I'm going to pull that through. And I'm going to cut this off and pull that loop all the way through. And I take and do one overhand knot on that first tail. So we've got the cuff. And then we can start with the first color. Now you're going to work on the row. I always crochet over the tops of my ends that are loose. That's just the way that I like to work it. It's easier for me. So then, using the same hook and your next color, we're going to go in. Here's the end of the rows. You can go into this hole right here, draw up a loop, single crochet it, and insert the hook here, draw up a loop and single crochet it. I will also take these and do one more overhand just to help secure it. And then another, you can kind of, if you put your finger behind the edge of the row and push your hook through, you'll find a spot that your hook will find that it wants to go through. Single crochet there, and there's always a hole right there that you can single crochet into, and that will give you a single crochet on the end of every row all the way around. And so I'm just crocheting right over the top of those tails. This looks like fall with this brown and orange yarn. And just kind of lay my hook and push it through. And you'll do that around, and I'll see you on the other side. Alrighty, next we've gone all the way around the top of the cuff with the orange yarn, or the second color, and I'm going to be slip stitching it into the top of the first stitch. Now you can do, if you have a favorite stitch, you're welcome to add that on to the top for the lengths that you need in between where the thumb hole goes and the end of the cuff. This is just happens to be what I came up with along the lines with the colors of yarn that I had. And you can follow that along or do your own thing from here on. I've chained 2, turned the work, and now I'm going to double crochet in the top of that single crochet row all the way around. I will slip stitch it at the end of the row, and then I will connect on the next color, pretty much like I did the orange on top of the brown here. And that color is also a double crochet row. And I alternately, I did a single crochet, double crochet, half double crochet, single crochet, half double crochet, double crochet, single crochet, double crochet, half double crochet, half double crochet, double crochet, double crochet, double crochet, and single crochet all the way up. When I get to the thumb hole, I'll show you that next. So you will see me when we get to the turquoise color next. Okay, now I am at the section where the thumb hole is going to be, which we're going to do in this turquoise color to match the first one. And because we want it balanced, here's the seam on both of them, because we want it balanced on them, instead of having the thumb hole on this side, we're going to want the thumb hole on this side. So we would have turned our work this way to follow the direction of the stitches. And we are going to flip it to the side. Okay, so before, on the first one we single crocheted 29, but we're going to do it backwards this time, so we're going to be single crocheting 8, do my connecting stitch there. So we're going to do 1, 2, overhand tie the ends just to anchor them. And we'll continue to crochet over the top of the ends. Okay, that's 2 stitches, 3 stitches, 4 stitches, 5 stitches, 6, 7, and 8. I'm just going to move those tails out of the way. And to create our finger or thumb hole, we are going to chain 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And back down to the stitching, we're going to skip 7 stitches. So then we're going to skip 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. On the 8th one, we're going to single crochet and single crochet back around to the beginning again. You've got this little thumb hole here. For one hand you do it in one direction, and the other hand you do it in the other direction, as to which side you put the skipped stitches on. On this one I single crocheted 29, chained 6 and skipped 7 stitches. On this one I'm single crocheting 8, chain 6, skip 7 stitches, and crocheting 29, single crocheting 29. And I like the single crochet on this row because it just makes it a little sturdier for that thumb hole for some reason, as opposed to a big old stretchy double crochet stitch. Oops, missed that one. And away we go. there? There. Sometimes it feels funny when I insert the hook and then I look at it and it's already gone through the right way. Must be those fibromyalgia fingers at work. Doodly doo, doodly doo, doodly doo. Now the next row is going to be a fine row of single crochet in this pink color, of which you would just single crochet into those chain stitches also all the way around. Back to the beginning of the row. Excuse my dishwasher going in the background. I'm going to slip stitch into that and bind it off for the next color. So up to this point we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows of single crochet, 1, 2, 3 rows of double crochet, and 1 row of half double crochet. And you can just do any kind of variations of that. So there's the beginning of the thumb hole. And then we'll do a row of single crochet in the pink, a row of double crochet in the black, a row of half double crochet in the green, a row of half double crochet in the 2 strands, a row of double crochet in the red, row of double crochet in the 2 strands, row of double crochet in the brown, and a row of single crochet in the brown. And I'll see you when we get back to the end. And they're growing and growing and growing and growing. I just keep adding more and more colors. This is 2 strands of very thin yarn held together. This is a half double crochet stitch. Yarn over, insert hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 3, or in this case 6 because it's doubled yarn. Okay, here we are at the end, and I am just sewing in the ends, most of the other ends, because I crocheted over the top of them. You don't even see. And that's why my preferred method is to crochet over the tops of ends, as opposed to trying to weave 50 billion ends in when the project is near completion, because nobody likes to sew in ends. I think this was just kind of a fun little project, using up some odds and ends of yarn, and I of course have more odds and ends of yarn that I will find other things to do with. And these are real easy to do in lots of different sizes. Like I said, you can just adjust the width of the cuff by how many chains you do in single crochets, or the circumference by how many rows you go up to the thumb hole. If you need the thumb hole bigger, you skip a few more stitches. And this one is finished. Poke that up there. Obviously it's way too big for my hand, but so that's an extra large size. You can even wear a pair of gloves on it and use it as an extra layer of warmth. Here I have another pair that I finished that I did double crochets in for the lengths. So therefore, instead of just a little slit for the thumb hole, you have more of a hole. So that's a small medium size. I just tied them together so that I didn't lose them. Done in a yellow and an ecru. And they fit rather nicely and snug, but you can still move your fingers around to do the things that you need to do. Wrist warmers, fingerless gloves, fingerless mitts, call them what you like. I think they're a fun project. Doesn't take too long, doesn't take too much yarn, and you can get as creative as you want with them. So, thank you for watching. Until next time, this is Hometown to Homestead Gal Gardeners. Sue signing off.